School of IT, Oro University, would like to welcome you all for the webinar on cybersecurity. Today we have an eminent speaker, Dr. Ashu Sharma. He is currently working as a malware analyst at Mindtree. He is co-founder and MD of cybersecurity, has 8 years of experience in the area of cybersecurity. He earned his PhD in malware analysis from BITS Pilani and also worked as a postdoctoral fellow in C3I Lab, IIT Kanpur. Going to talk about the various aspects of cybersecurity. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to Sir Dr. Ashu Sharma. Sir, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sunil sir. So, hi guys, this is Ashu Sharma, and actually we run a NGO that is CyberSec Society. We do programs like cybersecurity awareness program throughout like colleges and other organizations also, to like spread the knowledge of this, how to prevent our regarding these cyber crimes. So for today talk, I have agenda like I'll discuss about what is the cybersecurity and how the cybersecurity evolved, and then I'll discuss about the some like concept about cybersecurity, like the pillars of cybersecurity. That is called CIA traits, and then I'll discuss about how attack to a victim, or like how this attack is possible, and we call it like a hacker. We'll discuss that, and at last we'll give some time for 15 minutes for I think for doubts and queries, and like it is not restricted, like you have to ask in last only. You can stop anytime whenever you have any doubt. So if we talk about cybersecurity, so like when computers got evolved, so that time people were not have intention to create some harmful or malicious softwares. Yeah, that time also people used to play with these devices and like digital assets and all, but they were not having any most motivation to like get profit from these type of like cyber crime or something else. In 1970 almost, like when ARPANET came and internet came into existence. So like now that time, like people start connecting to other computers without seeing the boundaries of geographical locations, like what is their country and all, and their policies also. They don't need to care about it. And after that, like PC came on the whole, like PC size becomes small, and there's people used to bring and use them in their home desks. So like there people start using these devices more and more. And then after 2000, like 7, now like smartphone came into existence, and most of the people, like if we talk about now, so like more than 200 billion people are like using these devices to like do like your social networking, or internet banking, or like online shopping. So these all things, like now attackers got a big surface where they can attack, and they can create some profit from that. So like now you can see how we are evolved in these things. Like we are using Facebook. If we talk about 1 minute of like time, how much we are evolved. So in Facebook, 1 million of logins are done in 1 minute. And if you talk about Google, 3.8 millions of search queries are done in 1 minute. And if you talk about like Netflix, people are watching like that much content in 1 minute. And these contents are a very huge volume. Somebody have to store these things somewhere else. And these number of these application you see, like you don't know how many applications are there in existence on Google Store, or like for like Apple Store. So like if any of this application have any vulnerability, so your privacy is gone done. You can easily compromise your, like, somebody can compromise your like privacy, and they can steal your like credentials and all. So this is very big aspect. And then another thing you can see, like now people are saying like the cyber attacks will be going to more, and we are seeing that also. Like if you have seen like government organizations, their websites are getting hacked, or like many other cyber crimes are happening, and the rate is very increased in these like current year. So like over 12.3 million mobile applications were downloaded in 2018. Until 2013, we are thinking like the transaction will go more than 64.8 billions. Like that is payment transactions. And the number of social network users are increasing. Like they came up to like 422 million in 2000. They will reach like that is our estimate, that it will reach till 422 million in 2022. And if you see like the data where we are generating is very huge, and like finding something like malicious inside it is like searching a needle in a haystack. So this is very big task, like how to do that thing. So we talk about what is cybersecurity. So basically cybersecurity is a process which will prevent like cyber crime on your data that we have discussed previously. So that process is called as cybersecurity. And why it is important? Because this data is generated by governments also, military, corporate, finance and medicine organizations also, where now malware writers are like seeing more profit. If you talk about medical organizations, like the detail of a patient, that is very confidential. So storing those information like securely is very big aspect. So, and if we talk about India, so according to the like reports, India is third most vulnerable country to cyber threat. And what is the reason behind this? The first reason is the awareness about cyber security. People don't know like what they have to do and what they don't need to do. So like if we talk about like estimation of official government site, they have told like 700 websites of government have been hacked. And so like you can see like a home ministry website was blocked for few days and nobody can use it, like denial of service attack was there. And then in IRCTC website, data got breached, like 1 crore people information was stolen. So this is very dangerous aspect as well. For if you talk about like technocrats, even the people who are very like geek about the technologies. If we see like Cognizant, that is very big IT company, they recently got attacked with Maze ransomware. I think people have seen that news recently. And then Google is also saying like there are like 80 million phishing attacks they are recording only for COVID-19 last week. So like people are using these pandemic situations, like they know like now lockdown is there, now people are more like excited to see the news about coronavirus, and so now people are targeting them. They are sending phishing mails. I'll discuss what is the phishing mails later, but these are one type of attack that people are seeing the opportunity and they are doing the attacks. So India is becoming a vulnerable destination for ransomware attack too. Recently you have seen like Maze ransomware attack, and last year you have seen WannaCry. So like you don't know what is the vulnerability the people are seeing in your system. If we talk about WannaCry, you know, like there are two organizations. Like one organization is like NSA, US official organization. They have created one tool called Internal Blue, which was like hacked by another organization called Shadow, and they put that tool as publicly. And this opportunity is like seen by malware writers, and they created an exploit against it, and they published it in public, and that was like ransomware. So like huge number of computers got affected over that. So people know like if the vulnerability is published, so people will take the advantage of that vulnerability, and then they will attack. So like there are three pillars of cybersecurity. There are two more aspects, but we mostly will discuss about these three aspects only. The first is confidentiality. Confidentiality is an aspect where you save your privacy. You don't want to show the people what you are doing. So like for this aspect, we use encryption, decryption. We use cryptography for this, and we save our data in encrypted data, like digest, so that nobody can read it. Then another aspect is integrity. We use like to see the correctness of the information. If you want like you want to provide like your correctness of your data, then you have to follow this integrity of the data. So it is obeyed by using hashing. Some signature you have to create which will be unique to that data. So then you can create that signature, and you will find whether that data is same or not, or somebody have modified it. The another aspect is availability. If you are providing some service to somebody, then that service should not be stopped anyhow. So whoever is like a customer for that service, he should always served with that service. It should not be done like somebody have using most of the service, and like like other customers doesn't have space to use that service. So whenever you say like my data is secure, so you have to follow these three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And another thing is that this is for assets. When we talk about our applications, like we talk about softwares. So software, what is a software? Software is a like code that do some task, automate some task, and that task is given by some customer. And those customer requirement, we call them as a functional requirements. But whenever a developer develop a software, some unfunctional requirements also come into picture. So these functionality we call as bugs. So if these bugs can be exploited, if they can be used for malicious purpose, then we call that bug as a vulnerability. And if that vulnerability is published, if it's known to the attacker, then they can write an exploit over it to take advantage of that vulnerability. Once that exploit come into existence, then that exploit is used to write some malware. The malware will use that exploit to intrude in the system and then do the malicious activity. So these are all the terms that is used in cybersecurity for assets and for applications. So if we talk about cybercrime, just against, if we compromise cyber security, that is called a cyber crime. So there are various type of cyber crimes, like first is hacking. Hacking is a process by which one attacker intrude in a user system without the acknowledgement of that user. If user is not knowing and some other person is using that system, it's called hacking. And the person who is using that system illegally is called hacker. And the second is denial of service. Just last I talked about availability. So this is the, like, to make the system unavailable, this denial of service is used. Like example, like if you have 10 users to your service, if you have created one website and you have scaled your website for 10 users, and if you see only one user is using it very frequently, so that 9 users are not able to use it, so we can say the first user is using denial of service. Okay, another is malware. I already discussed about malware. What is a malware? It is a malicious software which do some malicious activity on a system without the acknowledgement of user. These malware can be virus, worm, Trojan, or other botnets or other malwares. Then another is software piracy. This is like somebody create a software and somebody use it illegally without paying the effort of the software developer. So that is known as software piracy. And another is distribution of pornography, that is banned by our society. So that is also a cyber crime. And your credit card fraud. In this attack, people steal your credential of your credit cards or your banking transactions. So these type of attacks are called credit card frauds. And similarly, lot of attacks are there. But these are the major attacks, so I am discussing these only. And the way you hack, the most oftenly used cybercrime is hacking. So here I'll discuss what are the types of hacking. The first is computer hacking. Computer hacking means like if some attacker can take the control of your system, it is called a hacking, computer hacking. And if any application is breached, so then like if application is your web server, then it is called as a web hacking. If it is your network protocols or network services, then it is called as network hacking. And if it is your SMTP server, then it is called email hacking. And if some application like somebody able to brute force or able to guess your password of your application, then it is called password hacking. And if your computer system is a smart devices like IoT devices, then it is called IoT hacking. So this is clear, I think. If any doubt, you can raise your hand. So for hacking, the most useful method for attackers is social engineering. In social engineering, attacker reduce their key space. Like if I want to hack somebody's password, and I know password length is 8 characters, and in that password people can use 256 characters if we talk about ASCII password. So for brute force, we need hundreds of years to search that password, all the combination of that password. So in social engineering, we use the information of the user, like victim, like what is the name, what are the family members' name, or what is the death, their date of birth, or whatever personal information you can gather from somebody, and use that information to hack their system. So that is called as a social engineering. Okay, These social engineering can be done by phone calls. Somebody will call you and ask for your some information, like your account number, bank account number, your address, or something. Or somebody will email you for the information. Or somebody will ask on some social network like Facebook or like Orkut or some social networks, Twitter and all. So these are the way how people do social engineering, how they gather the information about the victim and they attack. They use that information to attack the victim. So in that, the most used the attack is called phishing. Phishing is one of the type of social engineering where attacker use the information about it and information about the user and steal the credentials of the users. Have you seen you got some messages, emails like you won some lottery, and if you want to get that money, you have to share your account details. These all things comes under phishing. So phishing techniques are more commonly employed by using link manipulation. If you talk about, if you are going to Yahoo Mail and you by mistakenly you have typed mail.yahoo.com, so it will not show you this is illegal URL. It will go, somebody have taken this domain and using it. So if this user is malicious, he have some malicious purpose, so he can use that thing like link. If you got some mail which having something like this, LinkedIn. Just a minute. Sorry for that. So if you see some email like this, you are asked to confirm your email, you have to give the credential of LinkedIn and you have to click it. You don't know what is the link behind it, whether it is legitimate LinkedIn website URL or some other URL. So if attacker want to steal your credential, it will redirect you to his website. Once your credential is with him, he will again redirect you to the legitimate website, and you will not get to know whether your credential got stolen, because at last you are land up with your original legitimate website. So similarly, people use different symbols similar to the original one. If you see this mail, myetherealwallet.com, so they are using different symbol for Y, which is not exactly the legitimate website. This will be different website, or mostly it will be a malicious one. So this is your link manipulation, phishing. Then another is smishing. In this is totally medium. If you are using web pages, then it is called link manipulation. If you are using SMSs for this, if you are sharing some URL, malicious URL by the help of SMS in your cell network, then it is called smishing. So you will get something like this. Wells Fargo, which is a big company, financial company, your card stating with this credential has been deactivated. That means the person who have sent you this message, he already know that your card, credit card number ends with this digit. And how he got this? Because of social engineering. He have done some social engineering on you, and then he sent the message to you. And he is sending a link in that. You have to click it, and it will redirect to somewhere else, and you will give your credential, and your credential will be compromised. So similarly, this type of messages will also come. Like you can see, the URL itself is visible. If you click over it, it will go to that website and you will lose your credentials. So another is wishing by phone call. Somebody come outside of your society, and they will ask, they will call on your flat, and they will ask we are coming from internet provider, and some complaint came from your flat, so we want to see. So you will think maybe your wife have done or your children have done, and you will ask him to come. Once he will enter in your home, and he can do any malicious activity, any crime. So that type of activities is called wishing. And another is website forging. What is website forging? Like you deface some website, like if you use Facebook, and I know what is the interface of Facebook, so I'll create another website which will look similar to Facebook, and I will share that link to you, and I will put some messages that I'll gather from social engineering, like you are searching for some product, like you are willing to buy something, so I'll type the message similar to that, so that you will think yeah, I was searching, maybe this is legitimate mail, and you will go to that my website, and I'll steal your credential. So that is called website forgery. So in this case, the web pages are medium. In link manipulation, your URL is medium, then smishing, SMS is medium, and wishing, phone calls are medium, and for web forgery, web pages are medium. After, I'll tell you what other mediums are also there when we discuss about advanced phishing.
Hello, Ashu sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can we take some questions? There are lots of questions in the chat box. For 5 minutes, can we take some questions, sir? Then we'll continue the session.
Okay, Teeth Shah, can you share the? Yeah, I'll share the PDF, like PPT. I'll share. Sure. Dina Shah, are we going to get e-certificate from the webinar? For this, you have to talk to Sunil sir.
There is one question: how to differentiate what is fake and what is real?
So that will come to know. I'll discuss that in later slide.
Okay.
Wait for some slide.
There is one more question. Can you talk more about IoT hacking?
Yeah, see, what I talked about, security, it all about vulnerabilities. What vulnerability you found in the application. So whether that application is in your IoT device or whether that application is in your computer device. If I get some a vulnerability in your Chrome browser, so you are using the Chrome browser on your smartphone also, and maybe in some other smart device also, in your smart watch also. So it depends on vulnerabilities. So if somebody got the vulnerability, he can exploit that vulnerability and do hacking. Is it clear?
Some people are asking about the PPT. Yeah, we'll share with the Sunil sir, and he will share with you. Okay, now you can continue.
Okay, so as we have already discussed about
phishing type. Please, one question. Some participants are asking about some practical. Is there any practical in this practical demonstration?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
My virtual machine is not working. I'll try to do in my host machine. means like it is not visible in this your Zoom application, but I'll do. So as we talk about phishing, so like how these attackers use phishing. So if you see this example here in Black Hat, attacker is there. He will send you an email, okay, with some URL, that link, that will be your like malicious website. He will take your data in your malicious website and then he will redirect to your legitimate website. So you will at last you will not find whether your data is got like compromised. So if we talk about like how you will send the like link to the like victim, so this is called Medium. So you can use a Medium as an email. So we can see there is a relay server. I'll copy this URL. So this is a relay server where you can send email to anybody with anybody's name. Like if I want to send this I email to myself, like director Sanjay Sharma, and the email address I want to show director @cybersec.com, and I want to send this email to myself, so I can just give my email ID.
Dr. Sharma, probably you will have to share that screen wherein you are doing this practical, sir.
Oh, it's not visible. Sorry, I'll share it. Is it visible, my browser?
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay. So if I'll go to this website, that is emkei.cz, this is a relay server, email relay server. So this email relay server is used to send anonymous emails to anybody with legitimate names. So like if I want to like send an email from Sanjay Sharma account with the email ID that was director@cybersecurity.com to myself, so I'm just giving it as a fake. This is not like my mail server. So I'll give like link reimbursement. I can choose a file also. I'll discuss how to share email this malware in these type of emails. So hi Ashu, So this is my message, this thing, and for so here is my, I'll put some link, like I'll tell you what type of link will be there, but as I am sending to my personal email, so I'm not adding any malicious link to it. So if I'll send this email, I'll see. So I don't want to do that, I'll send. Okay. So this email was sent anonymously, and if I'll go to my personal email account, so now you see, I got an email from Sanjay Sharma, and he is asking, "Hi Ashu, please share your account details. Please provide your bank account detail on following link." I've created a fake link, like this is not workable, but still link is there. So if I'll see like this only, so I can share my bank account detail to him because it seems legitimate. If you see from outside, it's the same, like it is an important mail that is coming from Sanjay Sharma, and he's asking my bank account details for traveling reimbursement. So how to identify these type of mail, like whether they are legitimate mail or not? So for this you can go view as original option will be there. Show original. So if you go and show original, here you can see actually this email came from emke.cz. You can see this in received field, and here they specified that this is sent from localhost, like this is sent from the same machine. So here you can see the details. That means this is fake. This is not coming from any gmail.com mail server. Okay, so is it clear how to identify a phishing mail? Okay, so this is very easy way to how to like create a phishing mail. And we talk about what is the malicious links. So I can show you like see, there is a database where you can find malicious links. So if I want to see this link, okay, this is HTML file, so no problem, I can run on my productive system. So this is not available now. This link is identified by the Google Chrome, but if you want to see this, you can go here. So see, this is a phishing URL where you can find this Avast page. I'm not using any Avast antivirus, so like this is a phishing malicious URL. Okay. So if you like see these type of malicious URL, and if you want to check like whether this URL is a malicious or not, so you can copy the URL and go virustotal.com. This is the portal where you can see which URL is like malicious or not, right? Whether the, so you can go URL and paste it here. So you can check. This is a phishing URL. See, all the malware antivirus companies are stating it is as a malicious or phishing email address. So if you see any like URLs in your emails, so you can always come to this VirusTotal and you can check whether that URL is malicious or clean. Is it clear? Okay. So similarly, these email addresses, like recently we have seen in our NGO website, somebody have messaged us like your details are hacked, and if you want to like save that details, you have to pay $1500 in Bitcoin. So these are just phishing mails. And you can see like some documents also come to your system. They will say that you got some lottery, and if you want to collect these lottery money, then you have to share your full name, residential address, mobile number, occupation, sex, and whatever like personal details. So this is also a type of your phishing. So I think like phishing is like clear, like the concept is clear. Now we'll move about advanced phishing. We have seen like in mail we were sending some URLs. Okay, but in emails we can send some document like some files also. So in advanced phishing, what attacker do, it will send some legitimate document in which some inbuilt file will be there. That file will be malicious. Okay, Krupali Patel raised hand. Okay. Mohan Anna, sir, if a person try to steal into your from US, can't we trace back him with message, phone call, and make him arrest? Yeah, sure, you can do. Like if you can report it to cyber crime cell, then they will do the thing. You don't need to do anything. You have to report it. That's it. Okay, abhi the question will be answered live. Okay. Minal, please explain more about wishing. I told you now, whatever information we are gathering, if we are gathering through phone, this thing, medium, then that is called as wishing. I hope it will be cleared, Minal. Then Teecha, sir, oh, that certificate related message, we can't see anything. Okay, just I think all the questions are answered. Okay, so in this advanced phishing, if we are using the same email, this thing, relay server, we can add an attachment with that email itself. and that attachment is malicious, then it is called as an advanced phishing. So the best example is phishing with emoted malwares. You have heard about emoted malwares. So if we create a document which is like document, Word document, MS Word document, and it have some link to a PowerShell. That means it contain a macro which will be having a PowerShell script embedded in that document. Okay, that PowerShell script, this is PowerShell script, it will be executing and it will download the emoted malware.
Dr. Sharma, probably you need to change the screen.
Yeah, thanks. Sure. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah. So if we talk about advanced phishing, so in this case, people add a document file in the email, and this, if you analyze this email, this document file will be having one macro which contain PowerShell script. And what this PowerShell script will do, it will download a emoted malware. And this emoted malware will help to evade your detection system. Okay, and then this emoted malware will download another trick bot. This trick bot is used to steal the credential of the user. So this trick bot can disable your antivirus systems, harvest your data, they can steal your data, they can steal your credential, harvest your credential, contact name and email addresses of your Outlook. They use some tools that are called recovery tools. There are some tools called Outbox recovery tool, password recovery tool, or your Gmail password recovery tool, or some like key generators. So it use some hacking tools. We call this hack tools. They use some hack tools to collect these information, and then what they will do, they will drop another malware that is a ransomware. So this is a Ryuk ransomware. If you want to see the analysis of Ryuk and ransomware, I did one like talk last time, and it is uploaded on YouTube under CyberSec Society channel. So you can go and check, and you can see how to analyze Ryuk malware. So if you see how complex this chain is, from here it go here. So whatever your detection system is there, it will first see there is a document file. Mostly it is not malware. Mostly it is not like document file is not checked much, and it contains macro. So maybe it can be a legitimate macro. So this is a anti-malware evasion technique, which in phishing, advanced phishing is used. So like now I can't share my virtual machines, otherwise I have shown like this malware. Okay, I'll show you. I will not run it, but I'll try to show you the information. there is a website called Malware Bazaar. If you go to this website, if you want to search Emotet, just type here Emotet and search in the database. See, it will give so many documents. Okay, if I want to see this document, what is this document? This SHA value is this. File name is PO00142 something .doc. So this will be your attachment to your system. Okay, if we download this file, so if you download some file from Malware Bazaar database, it will be in zip form and the password will be infected. This is my link. I'll decompress this file. I don't have decompressor here. I'll try. Yeah, see, there is a file, doc file. Okay, what I'll do, I'm not able to share my virtual machine, so I'll take it to a sandbox, online sandbox. So again, we can go the same website. This is virustotal.com. And we'll search this hash value. So yeah, antiviruses are detecting this as a, if you see, most of them are detecting it as an Emotet. See, there is another version called Trojan Agent, but this file is called as Emotet only. They have wrongly identified this malware. So if we go to the behavior, this means they have executed this file and they have shown what is the behavior of this file. So we'll go to this. See, first this file is executing it is dropping a executable. The file name is called winword.exe. Okay.
Sir, please,
and that,
sir, please zoom the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it is okay.
Okay. So we went to virustotal.com and we went to the sandbox tab that is called behavior. So we are using, there are a lot of sandboxes, like you can see BitDem, APT, ATP, Dr. Web, VXQ, last line sandbox. So you can use any of the sandbox. So it by default it is last line. So we'll see here only, and here it will give information. It downloaded something. It used HTTP method to get some information from here, this URL. See, so it is downloading some file from here. Okay, so mostly this file will be your PowerShell script. Okay, and it is also communicating to this. So maybe whatever ransomware is there, it is communicating to this URL. Okay, so find file system action. It dropped these files, index.dat, .temporary. So most of the malware, they drop the files in temporary folder, and even legitimate installers also, they drop file in temporary. But the malwares always execute the file from temporary. Whereas if legitimate, somebody have raised hand. Om is asking how they even to publish such kind of website. See, you can also publish these things like there is a tool called SET, social engineering tool. You can get a open source tool also on GitHub. So see, there is a tool. So if you want to like publish your website, you can publish your like create that URL and like your page and publish it in online. Nobody will ask like not to publish that thing. Okay, people doesn't know like if you are going to publish a website, people doesn't know what is the intention behind it. You can buy some cloud and you can publish a website over it. Nobody will see. There is a privacy clause also until somebody report it. Okay, so I think Om, is it clear? So we were at this point.
Yeah.
He have changed some registries, like he have created some directories where he can install some startup applications. Okay, and the most analyzing component is process, how many processes are created. So if you see, there is a process called win.word.exe, but our file was doc file. So doc file cannot be executed. So this file is downloaded, dropped by that macro that was inside that doc file. Okay, and then this file executed, it created again PowerShell.exe. That means it has some PowerShell script which is executed on PowerShell.exe, which is a utility of Windows. Okay, and then this PowerShell script dropped another file that is called 793.exe, and this file again downloaded another file that is halffooter.exe. So mostly this file will be your ransomware. Okay, so this is the chain which is done by phishing. So is it clear? Like advanced phishing is clear? Okay, Mohan Anna is asking what is the SHA value. So have you taken some courses on cryptography? There are two types of algorithm. One is encryption and decryption, and another is hashing. So hashing algorithm is called as like one-way function. You can create some signature out of it. Okay, so this hashing algorithm is used for creating signature like this. I'm using this SHA value now. This is the signature of a file. Okay, that can be like uniquely identify that file. Okay, and the algorithm is called SHA-256. There are other also, MD5, SHA-1, SHA-526 also. But all the anti-malware vendors, they use SHA-256 to create a signature. Is it clear? Is there any meaning of emotet? No, it's just a technique which like it is used in phishing like documents. Can we use web structure to detect web phishing attack? Yeah, you can see the URL. I discussed now, like if your URL structure is somewhat suspicious, you can check on online whether it exists or like it is malicious or not. I told now, if you copy that URL and paste on virustotal.com, if you tell you if that is that URL occurred in a malicious software, then it will say that that is malicious URL. Okay. Parth, is it clear? Okay.
Dr. Sharma, I would suggest if we can actually process through your session, and at the end of the session we can take these people to ask questions and answers.
Okay.
That will be much easier.
Yeah.
Still, if you want to make it interactive, you can. So there are people who can raise their hands, and we can allow them to talk.
Okay, we'll at the last, like I'm almost done. So like at our last, we can give them time.
Okay. That will be better, Vijay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, is it clear? Like this is called a kill chain also. The process of processes. So, how to spot these type of phishing? So the question I have already answered. Like if there is any like difference in the URL of legitimate site, like if Y is used by some other symbol, I have shown in the example. So you can detect like, okay, this URL is fake or malicious. If you get some email like with message of urgent or threatening language, if you get some ransom message, like I have shown in my email address, like our society got one email that your data is got encrypted, or like you have to, if you want to retain your data, you have to share, like pay the amount. So if you see these type of messages, you can directly say like this is a phishing mail only, or you can report it. Whenever you see these type of, the first thing you should do is report it, so that somebody can be like prevent to get in that trap. Promises of attractive reward, like I've already discussed, like lottery money or like some other bank transaction. Request for confidential information, like your personal information. No bank asks your personal information online. Like, so you can think like this is your intelligence. You can think about it. An unexpected email. Like,
sir, please change your screen. Right?
The last time I shared the desktop now, so there was not a problem like this. So these are the things that you can check whether the email is phishing email or not. The first is mismatch or misleading information in the URL. Okay, use of urgent or threatening language like ransom or like giving lottery. Promising or attractive reward, like I've already discussed. What is this? Okay, and unexpected email, like I was not expecting Sanjay Sharma email to me at that time, so that may be phishing.
Your PPT is not visible, Ashish sir.
Again?
Yeah.
Now it's visible, sir.
Okay.
Now it's fine.
So one of the thing is unexpected email, like I've already discussed, like if I'm not expecting Sanjay Sharma email at this time, or regarding reimbursement, traveling reimbursement, so this may be a phishing email. Okay. Or suspicious attachment. If you are seeing some document which having a macro, or if you are seeing some PDF file which having a macro, so that you have to reanalyze this. Just create a SHA of that file and search on virustotal.com. So it will show you whether that file is malicious or clean. So if you want to protect yourself, general principle is be conscious about our communication, beware of pop-ups. If you see like pop-up adwares and all, then you can see like it will be malicious only. Like if you have seen, I have opened that email and now I am getting that Avast email, that antivirus in my this pin menu. If I show you here, if I right click here, not here. If I'm right clicking on desktop, it is showing that you can scan it with Avast antivirus, where I haven't installed the antivirus itself. So that came from malicious URL. Okay, so those type of thing. Do not click on phishing links. First, copy the link, check on VirusTotal, then only go to the link. Then another thing, install a phishing filter. There are like extensions of browsers which can filter your phishing mails. You can use that also. So this is the things that you can protect yourself from phishing mail. So if you have any doubt or like any thing, you can always post us on like cybersecurity.com or like Twitter or Facebook. I'll share you this PPT and you can directly mail to me also, ashu.abv.iitm.com@gmail.com. Okay, thank you. And now we can start the query session.
Yeah.
Can we take a question if we have a question in the chat box?
Yeah, I'll check. Anonymous attendee, how to create a SHA value of a file. Okay. There are some tools like HashMyFile. You can download that tool and you can use it to create hashes. Okay. Or like I can't share my virtual machine in this Zoom.
Even we have some utilities in PowerShell or Terminal also in Ubuntu that can generate a hash also.
Yeah, OpenSSL, you can use OpenSSL, then SHA-256 and that file name. That's it. Wait, I'll see if I have OpenSSL. I'll show you. Yeah, I have. I'll show you. Can you see my command prompt?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so I'm in the download folder. You can see these are my files inside that download folder. So if I want to create a SHA of this file, 012.ppt. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll use the command OpenSSL. Then I want SHA-256 algorithm to create a signature, 256, and then file name. OpenSSL SHA-256. was the file name 012. Okay, so 012.ppt. So it will create a SHA value and give it to me. The SHA value of 012 ppt is 31844 till 92. Okay, is it clear? Sir, what if attacker are using Tor or dark web? So like if it is using any VPN or any dark web services, you don't need to care about. Anyway, you will get a URL and you can always check that URL. Whether it is encrypted in between, that is fine. It will clear your VPN, like firewall. It will bypass your firewall. But it will come to you in decrypted form. As you are the user, if you are not able to readable, then their sending messages waste now. So whether it is like if you are using VPN also, like the URL you can see. Okay, sir, how can we know who sent the phishing mail to us? I told you na. In the email header, if you go to that show original, there was an email header in which there was a field received from. There you can get what is the your SMTP server. Okay, from there you can do the investigation.
But sir, there is one more problem that many attackers use VPN servers. So in that case, we cannot find actual detail of the attacker. Like recently, we got the threat mail at our society. We have checked the sender details and we found that the mail is drafted from the Chinese mail server. That is a porn website. So we cannot find actual details of that mail server or sender.
Yeah, you can't find. There is no way to find out. I'll tell you how like things works. Thing works like if you identify this is the server. That means that email server was hosted on that email Chinese system. Okay. So if you find like this is the system from where the email came, you have to ask them who have done this. They have the proper logs, and if they don't want to share it, they can't. You can't find that. So these all things goes from police level only. Like your defense, you have to go some protocol is there. You have to follow that. Then Indian government will ask. But the issue should be that much serious. Okay.
In that case, if you are smart, then I think you can also try the social engineering on that attacker also. You just create a fake IP logging website and try to fool them, the attacker. And if he visited your IP logger website, you can get the details like IP address and everything. So in that case, you also have to think like the attacker.
Yeah, you can use intelligence. That is one of the things, but still you have only the server ID. You don't have the user ID. So if you are doing social engineering on server, that doesn't make sense. Okay, if you get some like some ID from, if you get some findings from message about the user itself, whatever attacker is there, then you can follow him by social engineering or what. Then you can use intelligence. So, sir, earlier you have discussed different kind of cybercrime. When it comes to DDoS attack, how can the system be kept safe from such attack? See, most of the time, what is DDoS attack? If your DOS attack is on your website, so any attacker will be creating request for that website. That means HTTP request. Okay, more frequently. So that means if any request is coming more frequency of the request is more from same IP, Or if you talk about DDoS, so if you are seeing the frequency of request from set of IPs, then that IP have to be blocked. So server can easily block the IP. Now you can like try a DDoS attack on Google mail server or somewhere. They will block your IP instantly. Okay. Yes, sir. If we receive anything suspicious, how can we find out it's SHA or MD5 from? Okay, Neeraj sir, I have discussed now like OpenSSL. You can use this tool to find the SHA. I think we can switch on the mic and you can ask directly.
Okay, so to all participants, anyone who want to ask questions, please raise your hands, and one by one we'll be able to unmute, provided your names are authentic. So as this, I am unmuting one. This is called Acer.
Yeah.
Please rename yourselves. Yeah, you can ask the question. Please go ahead. You need to unmute your mic.
Yes, Sharma sir, my question to you is,
Tell me.
if we find anything suspicion, when we file, if we are having a doubt regarding any file, it may be a malware, how can we open it and find its SHA? That is the...
See, it's the simple way I told you. Create a SHA of that and search on.
How can
VT.
if we have the doubt? I think we can't open that file.
For creating SHA, you don't need to open the file.
How can we open a link? If we find a link, until unless we open it, we can directly copy it from the mailbox and directly we can.
You can download that attachment, and
Right.
you can that file. Like I have created a SHA of a PPT. You can create a SHA of that doc file.
Right.
Okay, and that SHA can be shared on this thing, VirusTotal, and can get the information about it.
Okay, that's okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Rajesh, go ahead. Unmute your mic and ask the question, please.
Yes, sir. I was asking, what is a dark web? I heard somebody ask the question regarding the dark web.
See, there is a anonymous network that is used for malicious purpose by drugs, this thing, selling or creating malware and sharing malware. You have know about Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Anonymous currency. You don't know who have shared you the currency, who have how much currency. You don't know the identity of the entity. So similarly, if you have this social network in which the identity of the person is hidden, you don't know who you are talking about, communicating. So that network is called darknet. That network is used for malicious purpose. If you want to buy some bot network, you can go and buy. Or if you want some illegal things, you can go and buy. That network is used for that. So that's why it is called as dark network. You can't trace anybody, or you can't report anybody. That is the truth.
Okay, so next question is
Rajesh Nandor.
Yeah. Mohanana, you can unmute your mic and ask, please.
Mr. Mohananna, Kindly unmute your mic, please.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hello, sir. Sir,
Hi,
you
Mohan.
said that we can create our own SHA and we can simply search it on VirusTotal. But if the person who sent the file is already having the signature, then it will give our signature or his signature, sir, when we search on VirusTotal.
If the file is same, the signatures will be same only. The algorithm is same, so signature will be same.
No, sir, I am asking that if I sent a file to you that with my signature and you thought it's something malware and you want to check in VirusTotal, then you created another SHA key of that doc file, and now in VirusTotal, will it verify your signature or my signature?
So that only I'm telling, the signature will be same only. If you are creating signature of a one file, the digest will be same. The signature value will be same. If you are creating signature of that file, that will be same. If I am creating the signature of that file, that signature will be same. That is a unique property to a file.
Sir, but in case when some company is suing other, in recent years we saw that some of the top companies are suing other, that these companies are stealing our data, then the court is asking for signatures. No, sir. In that case, if the signature can be created by the company who had gave a petition in court, then how they are going to identify, sir, that whose fault is there in that issue?
See, if you are talking about piracy, somebody are using somebody's code, okay, and telling this is my code.
No, sir. I am asking that let us suppose, sir, if I have sent some malware to you, that you have ordered something from me, sir, any software or any application to build and give you, and I gave some malware content to store your data from your organization. So you saw that I have sent you some malware, then you reported to further officials, then they asked that then they send orders to me that why you did like this and stuff. Then can I say that it's not my signature, it is created by you only?
No, see, I have shown you one kill chain. If one application
Yes.
is executed, then if it is calling another, it will come in the same chain.
Yes,
So
sir.
if your software is legitimate and inside it some malicious software is there, so that malicious software will come in that chain.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so initial entry point is your legitimate software.
Yes, sir.
And show it like this malware is coming from your software, so you can sue him.
Okay.
Because that signature will help you, because you will say you have changed that software.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
But I told you that signature will be same only. Whatever
Okay,
software
sir.
you have, the signature will be same. So I'll show you like this is the signature. It will match with your software. That means that is your
Yes,
software.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
I think no more question.
Yeah, one more. Acer, Acer must not be a name. Please rename yourself, but then you can unmute and ask question, please. I think this is Neeraj because I was able to see him under question and answer also. Mr. Neeraj,
Anji, hello.
please ask.
You are listening, sir? Doctor,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Actually, my question to you is, you had just mentioned about header box. By
Yes.
opening the header box, we can simply see through which server the mail has been received.
Yes.
I think in different mail browser, the mechanism would be the same, or it would be how can you view the header box in either Internet Explorer or Mozilla or Gmail?
See, every browser can show you the original thing, but their terminology will be different.
Right.
I don't know what is about in Internet Explorer, but you can always see the header of email, and header will be same in every browser. Like header is the metadata about the email,
Right. Okay.
so it will be same.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So as of now, no raised hands.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then we can wind up.
Yeah, dear participants, thank you for attending the webinar on cyber security threats. We hope that you found the webinar informative and worthwhile. And Dr. Ashu did an outstanding job for sharing his expertise with you. And Dr. Ashu, on behalf of Oro University, thank you for speaking to our students and other participants. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experience with all of us. Thank you for your contribution, and please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.